Welcome to the Best Websites podcast from Family Tree Magazine, where we spotlight the most useful, innovative, and downright exciting online tools for family historians. I'm your host, Lisa Louise Cook. If you've been in genealogy for any length of time, you have probably heard about findagrave.com. And it's a wonderful resource, but there are some do's and don'ts that will help you get the most out of it and have a successful time using the website. And here to talk about that is genealogist and creator of Project Infant, Daniel Loftus. He is writing an upcoming article on Find a Grave for Family Tree Magazine. And so I've asked him to join us here on the Best Websites podcast to talk more about what we should and should not be doing at Find a Grave. Welcome to the podcast, Daniel.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
It's so interesting as we get into each website has its own kind of nuances and specialties, and you want to get the most out of your efforts when you work with a website like this, like findagrave.com. So I'm hoping that you'll share some of these wonderful tips that you've been putting together in your article with us. And maybe we should start with the positives, the do's. What should we be doing when we get to findagrave.com?
When I gone to visit a graveyard, I try to make a pecking list of stuff I need to do. So, for example, if I'm looking at Find a Grave, I do try to plan my visit as best as I can. So I might look at a cemetery to see if it's on Find a Grave, and if it's not, I'll create a basic outline of a cemetery page and then add it later. But if it's a cemetery that has already been, added to the website already, I will make sure to see how much is up there. And most importantly, my first do would be planning your visit, in that seeing if there are any open photo requests there. Because I've had this happen to me when I have been doing research in New York, where a branch of my dad's family ended up going, and a lot of them died in and around Manhattan area, and some were buried in Calvary Cemetery in New York. And the main thing that has helped me is by filing photo requests for headstones or whatever marker may remain for that grave. So it wasn't until a friend of mine helped me get a photo of my grandaunt, who died in New York in 1981, that I actually got to see her grave for the first time. And it's really convenient having the photo request method when you can't go to visit the plot in particular. So that'd be my first thing. Check to see if there's any open photo requests, and if there are, try and fulfill them if you can. On the memorial page, they tend to have the grave location, so you can try and find the memorial through that, or try and find the marker through that. In Ireland, I know there are cemetery maps, or there tends to be cemetery maps. So if you have like a grave location, you can look at the map and then find out where a grave is and go there and take a photo of it and then fulfill it. The second thing I would suggest doing is, because there can be an awful lot of people in your family who are on Find a Grave, and I like to try and keep organized. So I try and use virtual cemeteries. That is my second tip, because virtual cemeteries are very handy in keeping everything organized. So I have a virtual cemetery for memorials on Find a Grave for my dad's side and for my mum's side. But I also have one where I need to visit this headstone next, because it might not have a photo, or I just have not gotten around to seeing it yet. So I try and organize it by that. Other people may want to do it in different ways due to how they do it, but I don't see virtual cemeteries used a whole lot. So I figured that might be a good thing to mention as well. And when you're at a cemetery, my third tip would be, when you're taking photos of headstones, turn on your GPS. Because if you're in a rather significant cemetery, you do want to be able to find a marker easily. And to do that, if you can go on to a memorial page on Find a Grave, if you have uploaded a photo, a geotagged photo of a headstone or a marker, it will add a show on map button on the page that you can click into, which takes you to Google Maps, and it gives you the exact coordinates of where the marker is, so you can go and visit it yourself. And it is really helpful with the substantial cemeteries because there's a few in Mayo that I visit, and having that facility of geotagged photos and being able to see exactly where it is in the cemetery is beyond helpful.
Now, you've already mentioned several really interesting features that are available at Find a Grave, and there might be a few people listening who've never been to findagrave.com. So, you've mentioned that you can upload photographs of the tombstones. There's the mapping feature. Give us a quick overview bullet list of what are some of the most important features at findagrave.com.
Well, one thing I do enjoy with Find a Grave is actually, and it's when you're editing a memorial, if you know that there is, for instance, a husband and wife together, and we'll say they're buried in the same grave, you can link their memorials together by their memorial number, which each memorial on Find a Grave is given. And you can go into the edit page, you can link memorials together. So you can do parents, you can do spouses, you can do children, you can do all of that. And I think that is one of the handy features, because I've had ones where I've seen, the parent may have died in, we'll say, Mayo, but the child died in Sligo or Leitrim or somewhere else. So having that linking feature is a good way of being able to relate, right, who's who and where are they.
That's a really great point. I was recently researching on one of the big genealogy websites and finally got the next generation person. They had a listing for their Find a Grave memorial. So I clicked it, went through, and there's their whole family. And as you said, they were all linked up, which is just a fabulous use of that technology. These are all really positive things. Now, I know you're doing do's and don'ts. So, what are some of the don'ts that we should be keeping in mind as we're working with Find a Grave?
Okay, I've got two major ones. So, the first one is I've seen on Find a Grave, whenever I've tried getting in contact with a member on Find a Grave for whatever reason it may be, that there is no facility to contact them because they either don't have an email address listed, which you can do, or you can't actually message them because they've turned off the messaging feature. Because if you're going to the notification settings on your profile, you can choose whether or not you would like to allow your email to be publicly available for people to contact you, or you can go to the edit page on your profile to decide whether or not you want to receive messages or not. And many people that I've seen that I've tried to get in contact with for one reason or another have both of those facilities unavailable. So the don't here is like, don't cut off people from trying to contact you, because you might be able to offer them information that you are aware of, but if they can't get in contact with you, then it's not really going to facilitate collaboration, or just trying to fix an error or something, which I know can be done in the suggest edits tab, but sometimes it might be nice to get in contact with the user directly.
That's a great point, because really genealogy is such a collaborative effort, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It really is. And if you're cutting off the means of doing that collaboration, it just makes it a little more tricky. Now, my other big don't, which is it's a topic that I have brought up significantly, and it is something that I encourage people to do, and that I started it back in 2021, and it's the wait, don't make, because I would imagine a lot of us who have lost family, whenever the obituary does go up on the website of the funeral home or RIP.E or whatever site publishes obituaries, it is very common, I have noticed, for memorials to be created incredibly soon after the demise of someone. And in some cases, and in many that I've seen as of late, has been done before the person is actually buried, which is, I feel, sort of contradictory to the purpose, which is to document kind of the headstones and the graves. Now, while I realise that not everyone will have a headstone or a grave, when we do add a memorial to Find a Grave, we are doing an effort which we are undertaking of our own volition to document people's history. And we have to be mindful and respectful of others, especially if someone has just passed away and the family are grieving and they are trying to, focus on, paying tribute to their loved one and burying them or saying goodbye to them in whatever way they do, that if you just go and create a memorial, it does cause upset. And I have seen many of my Facebook friends, online friends, whatever, they have said, oh, my relative just died. I just had to go and create my relative on Find a Grave because I know someone else would. And it really is an unsettling aspect of Find a Grave. I know it is not applying to the entire site, but I don't feel it would be appropriate to not mention it, considering how rife it is in some aspects and done by some users of the site where they do this practice, which some might not necessarily see an issue with it. But I would just ask, to be mindful. And, there'll be time to add someone after, they pass away. And I think it's important that whenever someone dies, you give the family that time to grieve. So if someone saw an obituary, don't immediately create a memorial for that person. Give it time and give it a month, give it a year, give it a period of time where you just kind of think, okay, the family are just grieving. I can't or I shouldn't really push this on the site just yet, because genealogy is personal and it's about people, and people grieve differently. And it's all just about trying to be as mindful as we possibly can with it, especially when we're doing something so deeply personal. And, it is a very turbulent topic as well. So I feel like just observing the having a modicum of respect by just trying to, hang on a second, let's not do this straight away. I'll give it some time and then add it. It's just about giving people time and patience to, or time and space to come to terms with the loss.
Do you find that many people are out there putting and creating memorials for people that they don't even know? There's, like you said, they're seeing an obituary online. Is there a lot of that people are making them? Because I'm guessing family members, if that's the case, might feel like, gosh, I want to be the one who at least does that, because, like you said, it's deeply personal.
Exactly. And I can't give you an estimate for how many do it, because with the way that the site is set up for newly created memorials, you can't see who originally created it. And you can only see, like, say, for instance, my grandaunt died and I am trying to get her memorial. If I claim it as a recently deceased memorial, it actually erases who originally created it. So it doesn't necessarily give you an idea as to how many do this. So it's a case of, I can't necessarily give you an exact total, but any time that a relative of a online connection of mine who has died, they have found that this has happened to them, and it is just a hard thing to watch.
Yeah, that begs the question, can anybody edit a memorial after, and can multiple edits occur over time?
Yes. I mean, if you controlled a memorial, if you manage it or created it or whatnot, you can make as many changes as you want, obviously. But if it was someone who, say, if John created my granddad's memorial and I wanted to suggest to John to make these edits, I can obviously file the edits with them using the suggest edits button. But I have not come across a limit of how many times you can send edits through.
So when somebody creates a memorial, do they kind of in a sense, they're the controlling user and any edits must go through them. Is that kind of how that works?
So if they create a memorial, they can make as many changes as they want. But if someone takes it over, they lose that control, and then they would have to be the one to suggest edits, because whoever took it over now has the entire control of the memorial and they can make changes themselves. So if, for instance, John made my grandaunt's memorial, if I, and obviously if she's a recently deceased memorial, I can take that over, and then I would get full control of the memorial, so I can make all the changes I like, and then John would have to go and suggest any edits to the memorial because he loses that control.
That's interesting. So do you have to request to the original creator that you would like to take control of it over?
If it is a recently deceased memorial, you do not have to. It is just a, like, who are you to them, and then you can just take it over.
Very interesting. Well, it sounds like being mindful of the timing and the family is all really good advice in terms of this, because it does affect a lot of people. It's a fascinating website, and we're really looking forward to your article coming out to help us navigate it and really get good use out of it, while also being very helpful to it as well. Daniel, I know that you are the creator of Project Infant. You want to tell us real quickly what that's about?
Yes, so Project Infant is a project I started back in July of 2022, where it aims to record the names of those who died in institutions in and around Ireland. So industrial schools, mother and baby homes, and other institutions that we come across, to try and give the women and children who died in these institutions their names back.
Fascinating work. Sounds like a wonderful project. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. I hope you'll come back again soon.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thanks so much for joining me for the Family Tree Magazine Best Websites podcast. You can find a link over to this month's best website at familytreemagazine.com/podcast. Also, while you're at the website, I would encourage you to sign up for our free email newsletter. It's the perfect way to stay in touch with everything we've got going on at Family Tree Magazine, including our other podcast, the Family Tree Magazine Podcast. I'm Lisa Louise Cook, and you can find me at my website, genealogygems.com, where you'll find links to my Genealogy Gems podcast and our YouTube channel. Until next time, have fun climbing your family tree.